Hi students, hope you're all doing well. Today, we're going to dive into something that's at the absolute heart of every single experiment you'll ever do: systematic and random errors.
So, let me ask you this. Is any measurement ever perfect? I mean, truly 100% perfect? Well, the short answer is nope, not a chance. In the real world, anytime we measure anything, there's always a little bit of unavoidable uncertainty.
But here's the thing, when we talk about error in science, we're not really talking about a mistake you made. It's just an unavoidable part of the process. And these errors pretty much fall into two main camps: systematic and random.
So what's the difference? It's absolutely crucial to get this. Think of systematic error like a bathroom scale that's always off by 5 pounds. Every single time you step on it, it adds those 5 pounds. It consistently throws your measurement off in the same direction, and that messes with your accuracy. You know, how close you are to your actual weight. Random error? That's more like trying to read that scale while you're balancing on one foot. Your reading's going to wobble around a bit, right? Sometimes a little high, sometimes a little low. That affects your precision, how repeatable your measurements are.
All right, let's zoom in on that first one, systematic error. The name kind of gives it away, right? It's a systematic flaw in your setup.
So, what does that mean in the real world? It means all your results are getting nudged either too high or too low by the same amount every single time. And here's the kicker. Taking more readings and averaging them out, it won't help one bit. If your scale is broken, it's going to be broken every single time. Probably the most common type of systematic error you'll run into is something called a zero error. And yeah, it's pretty much exactly what it sounds like.
Okay, take a look at this. This ammeter is a perfect example. See that needle? There's no current. It should be sitting right on zero, but it's not. It's pointing to about negative 0.2 amps. That's a zero error right there. And it means every single reading you take is going to be 0.2 amps lower than it should be, every single time.
And here's one we've all probably dealt with. You know that old ruler where the end is all chipped and worn down? That's a zero error. The zero mark is basically gone. Now, if you try to measure from that busted end, all your measurements will be off. So what's the smart move? The technique here is to just start at the 1 centimeter mark instead. Then just remember to subtract that 1 centimeter from your final number. Easy fix.
Zero errors aren't the only culprit, though. You could have a scale that was just calibrated wrong from the factory. The markings are literally in the wrong place. Or a really subtle one is your own reaction time. If you're always a little slow hitting the stop button on a timer, maybe by a fraction of a second, that consistent delay is a systematic error. Okay, so that's the consistent flaw. Now let's talk about its unpredictable cousin, random error. If systematic error is a constant bias, random error is more like background noise. It's that random scatter in your data. It's why if you measure the exact same thing 5 times, you'll probably get 5 slightly different answers. So, unlike those sneaky systematic errors, random errors bounce around the true value. Some readings will be a little high, some a little low. And that's actually good news. Why? Because we have a powerful tool to fight it. If you take a bunch of readings and average them, those random highs and lows start to cancel each other out. The more data you take, the closer your average gets to the real value.
A super common example of random error, and I guarantee you've done this, is parallax error. It's all about the angle you're looking at a scale from.
Look at this diagram. It shows you exactly what I mean. Depending on where your eye is, to the left, to the right, or dead on, the measurement looks like it's in a different spot. If your viewing angle keeps changing, even a tiny bit, you're introducing random noise into your results. The solution? It's simple, but you gotta be disciplined about it. Always look at the scale straight on, at eye level.
What else causes this? Well, just trying to guess the value between the lines on a ruler. That's called interpolation, and it's a judgment call, right? Or think about timing a pendulum swing, trying to pinpoint the exact moment it stops at the top. That's tricky. Even tiny changes in the room, like a little draft or a temperature shift, can create small random fluctuations in your data.
And you have to remember, these two types of errors can absolutely happen at the same time. It's not an either-or situation. For example, you could be using that ammeter we saw, the one with the systematic zero error, and you could be reading it from a slightly different angle each time, which introduces a random parallax error. Both can mess with the same measurement.
Okay, so we know what these errors are, but what do we do with them? I mean, how do we handle the uncertainty when we start plugging our measurements into formulas? Well, thankfully, there's a toolkit of rules for that.
Rule number 1 is for adding and subtracting, and it's the easy one. You simply add the absolute uncertainties. So if you have a value with some uncertainty and you subtract another value with its own uncertainty, you still add the uncertainties together. Think about it. You never get more certain about a result by combining uncertain numbers. The potential for error just gets bigger.
Okay, now for the one you'll use most of the time, multiplication and division. This covers almost all the formulas you'll see in physics, calculating area, density, speed, you name it. For these, the rule is different. You don't add the absolute uncertainties. You add their percentage or fractional uncertainties. It's a way of scaling the error to the size of the measurement, which makes a lot more sense for these kinds of calculations. I know this might sound a little confusing just hearing the rules, so let's put it into practice. We're going to walk through an example right now to see exactly how this works. All right, here's the setup. A student measures a length, 50.0 centimeters, give or take 0.2, and a width, 20.0 centimeters plus or minus 0.1. We need to find the area and, more importantly, the total uncertainty in that area. Okay, let's break it down. Step 1, the easy part. Just calculate the area. Length times width. 50 times 20, that gives us 1,000 square centimeters. Done. Now for the tricky part, the uncertainty. Since we're multiplying, we need percentages. So for step 2, let's find the percent uncertainty in the length. We take the absolute uncertainty, which is 0.2, divide it by the measurement, 50, and multiply by 100. That gives us 0.4%. Okay, now let's do the same for the width in step 3. Its uncertainty is 0.1, divided by its value, 20, that comes out to 0.5%. Now here comes rule 2. For step 4, because we multiplied the length and width, we now add their percentage uncertainties. So 0.4% plus 0.5% gives us a total uncertainty of 0.9%. We're almost there. For the last step, we just need to convert this back to an absolute number. So what is 0.9% of our calculated area of 1,000? Well, it's 9.0 square centimeters.
And there we have it, our final answer, stated correctly. The area is 1,000.0 plus or minus 9.0 square centimeters. See, this is what a real scientific result looks like. It's not just a number, it's a number with a range of confidence.
So let's bring it all home. What's the big takeaway here? It's this. A measurement without its uncertainty is pretty much useless in science. The goal is not to get rid of all error. That's literally impossible. The goal of a good scientist is to be honest, to hunt down the sources of error, figure out how big they are, and report them clearly for everyone to see.
And really, it all boils down to this concept of accuracy. When we wrestle with systematic and random errors, we're doing more than just math. We're on a quest to get as close as we can to the true value of whatever we're measuring. It's about being rigorous and honest. The next time you see a number in a study, ask yourself, where's the plus or minus? Thanks so much for joining me.
Important terminology for this topic is shown on the screen, arranged according to various exam boards. These terms demand focused attention during revision as they are highly significant and must never be overlooked. Furthermore, a past paper evaluation is included for each board and paper format. Give this paper attention too, since it will strongly enhance and refine your preparation. Additionally, aims to grasp the meaning and usage of every term instead of rote learning them individually. Consistent practice of these terms in past paper questions will greatly boost your precision and overall exam results.
Please subscribe our channel to get more educational videos. Thank you.